great day. Happy Sunday.
30 minutes away.
Okay.
But yeah, I wanted to come by. I've been meaning to come by for like the last 6 months, honestly.
Okay.
I met some friends at the Detroit Psychedelic Conference back in August.
Okay.
And they held a beautiful space for me while I went through some challenging moments.
Okay.
And stuff that
Mhm.
so I thought I'd stop by. I think they were like in Miami right now.
Right.
But I still want to come by.
And they should be with us. I believe that's Sunday, right?
Yeah.
So look forward. Glad to have you. How we looking?
We're gonna go with the phone here. All right. So all right.
but we are here, still present, still moving forward, still doing that which we have come to do on this Resurrection Sunday. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And we do have in the house with us again. Tell me your name again.
Jordan.
We have Jordan in the house. Hey, love out to Jordan. Thank you for being present with us.
All right.
On this initiating Sunday for us as we flow through and make things happen according to that it is designed to be. Perfect and always perfect, perfect, perfect. So we did a sound already, sent out some vibrations into the room. I hope some of it got out, but the energy is here, the vibration is here. And so we still transmit that vibration, knowing that you can receive it, knowing that spirit is always present, spirit is always working, spirit is always here. And when you set the intentions to do something for God, when you set the intention to flow in spirit, those intentions get carried through. It doesn't get delayed because the technical difficulties that we have. Those intentions are still seated and rooted and doing what they are supposed to do. Again, today our topic is Resurrecting the God Within. And I looked at Psalms 82 and 6 in the Bible, which says, I have said ye are gods, and all of your children are of the Most High. So if we are God, that means that we are expected to be able to work, move, vibrate, exist as gods. And to the degree that we aren't necessarily lining up to what we are, just means that we need to do a little tweaking to get ourselves into that right position of God. So I have a few questions that I would like for you to just ponder. And we may, just talk about those and address those. How are you with your spirit? Are you connected to your spirit? Are you close to your spirit? Do you consider your spirit? Or do you just go on in life like it's a happenstance? Question, what type of relationship do you have with your spirit? Is your relationship with your spirit argumentative? Is your relationship with your spirit, I'm a flow and just follow spirit? Is your relationship with your spirit trusting? Is your relationship with yours full of doubt? What do you know that you have to do to allow something to live or die that your spirit flourish? What things get in the way of you allowing your spirit to grow and flourish? There's some questions to look at when we think about today's topic. The awakening of spirit, in essence, is really unconditional love. Love of yourself, love for others. And unconditional love may sometimes be, I love you, I hold space for you to do well, but I might have to put some distance between you and whatever situation, whatever it is we're dealing with. So you don't ever get to not love as much as it is, what degree, what does that love look like? What does it look like to show up for someone? And what does it look like to allow someone or even yourself space to grow and develop? Unconditional love. If you falter, if you have plans and you're trying to do something and it doesn't work out, do you forgive yourself to move forward and do whatever it is you need to do? Or do you get stuck? Do you start condemning yourself? Do you start making yourself sorrowful rather than, I love you, I appreciate you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, let's move forward? You got to be able to look at self and give self unconditional love. Moving to trust. Trust yourself, trust your spirit, trust the higher calling. There's something within you that says, here is how you could be great. And you could be great. But then you start and it looks like, there's some gray areas, there's some space that I might not be able to contend with right now. That might become a blockage, because instead of being great and flowing in that greatness, you start looking at, well, I could be great, but I don't have this amount of money. Well, I could be great, but I can't get to this place. Well, I could be great, But these people won't help me. They won't like me. They are not in support of me. I can be great. So then we start moving away from our greatness and focusing on all of the things that can possibly step in place of greatness, opposed to allowing yourself to be great. So then we'll go back to those questions. Question number one: how are you with your spirit? Okay, so for me, I am with my spirit right now, growing and developing my relationship with spirit. It's like I was raised in Church of God in Christ, preacher's kid. And so, I understood God as I was taught in church. But relationship with God is really different from, here's some scriptures, here's some things, do this, don't do this, opposed to really internalizing. This is what this means to me. This is how this connects. So in this present day, I am growing and reshaping and exploring and allowing myself to understand and witness God in as many ways as I can see God before me. So when I see you in love. I see you as a person thriving. I already see you in a light of, this is a child of God. Let me receive her in love. But that's easy to do when somebody comes in really sweet. You know what I'm saying? But to then also be able to look at a murderer, to look at a thief, to look at a liar, to look at people who I know intentionally do something that's harm and still see them as a child of God, worthy of love. Now, they still have to answer to their behaviors. There's still a requirement of atonement for, okay, you've done this injustice. So there's something that needs to be done to correct that behavior. But that person is still worthy of love. So that's how I am with my spirit right now in that part.
So me and my spirit, we are right now. We like this. We tight. We cool. But that is something that I am. So I think this like goes into one of the next questions. But I'm working on the trust bit. I think it's easy to be or feel close to your spirit when you're not like engaging with the world. When you're like, I think for me, it's looked like different things over the years. I would say that my spiritual journey or me delivering myself and teaching God started probably maybe around like 2019. But before it was like me doing all the things like meditating, full tarot and oracle cards. I'm doing all the things, all the activities. So I'm thinking like, oh yeah, me and my spirit, we're great. But I feel like I haven't really started feeling that connection deeply until maybe like the past year or 2 years. And also being close to your spirit is like through all the time, the good times and the bad times, not just when it's needed, not just when you're going through it, but also when you're feeling great, gratitude, things of that nature. I think for me, what's difficult sometimes is at checking in with myself and asking myself like, what do I want and how am I doing once I get into the world and I'm around other people, because that kind of just gets swept up in everybody else's happening, endeavors, what people are expecting of me, performance of like trying to be a good person or like do what I think a good person does. But I think it's less in trying and more in allowing, or at least for me, that's the lesson right now. And just being authentic and natural and never not with your spirit. So I'm learning that as well. Just the voice might not be as loud or the connection might not be as strong, but it's always there. But yeah, the trust bit is difficult, especially when it comes to like practical matters like jobs and money and because I feel I know my purpose and the things that I need to work on and do, but they feel like revolutionary things and it feels like there's not much of a blueprint ahead of me. So I'm having a difficult time with faith and taking steps, even though, because I always want to know the right answers ahead of time. I want to know it's going to pay off. I want to know that it's going to make sense. And sometimes we're asked to take the step and to know that the path will be there. And that is a difficult thing. So
right. You running through the questions, and that's
But no, I
and
can, we can circle back around and talk
and that's
deeper.
good. But what I really like and what I really heard from you was, that ability and that desire to really just show up for self. Like you said, it's really great to do the things. Sing in a choir, read tarot cards, meditate all day. Those are good practices, and they're good leadways into spirit. But the real connection is when you open up to, like you said, in spirit and in truth, when you open up to receive it and walk in it, and to be able to be consistent with your true self, even when you're amongst other people. Because I know a lot of times we want to fit in, we want to be accepted. We want to be okay in whatever space we're in. And so that might make you, I don't know if I want to put all of this out there. I don't know if I want to expose this stuff. So they would make you want to be a little close. And in some spaces, it's okay to guard yourself, because sometimes you got to protect yourself from other energies. But a trusting spirit, that's when that connection with spirit can come in and be like, you might not want to share that part. You might not want to go that deep. You might want to examine this situation before you involve yourself in the situation. But that relationship with spirit brings that about for you. Before we go into too many other questions, anyone online, Master Chef, you may want to respond.
Like First Mother Love, Tiffany, all the room was.
Mhm. Can we hear Precious Mother Love?
Nope, this is the extreme yard back.
So all that they can do is type. So the question right now, Precious Mother Love, is how in tune are you with your spirit? What does that look like for you? I'm going to ask you, go ahead, Master Chef, and answer that question while manning the board to respond with what they say.
Yeah. Uh, Right on. Your person do need to come in person, all the room. All the room just in the text out. I need to come in person. Absolutely. And you know what the spot is too, because you've been here before. So
That Monday spot. Come on up to them.
yes, Precious Mother Love getting her list together. We'll read that out together.
Okay. All right.
However, she gets that list together. For my person, the relationship is closer than close at the moment.
Okay.
It's been a journey, however. It's been a journey, just veggie backing, co-telling on what was shared before about that trust and that allowing piece. It's been quite of a journey. And also being more of the divine masculine, we have this intellect thing going, like to have this scientific approach and figure things out. And so on this journey, I have looked at my person energetically to understand its spirit, the unseen aspect, even though the physical body is part of spirit also. But generally, we're talking about spirit, we're talking about the unseen. So just looking at the unseen energetically and what that looks like, it kind of organized itself, just says, um, it has a heart and a mind, and to use these things and begin to really identify and work with the relationship between the heart and the mind, understanding the different roles, generally speaking, how it sees the heart as more of the divine because it generally holds the intention, the will, do what is right from your heart, live from your heart, the truth, just hold that space of knowing what is right to be in that space. Whereas the mind of the feminine can easily be distracted, even use the example of a holy matrimony, a marriage, for example, take these vows, and both couples take the vows, and the intention is like, I will love you forever, do this, do that. That's the intention of the heart, you know. However, the mind sometimes can be distracted or something come up and, things like that. So it's just the perspective that my person has identified itself and look to have a marriage, if you would, between his heart, understanding how they work, understanding, not to be so hard on itself. This is the spirit inner working because it doesn't serve my person. So my person be hard on itself. How Where does that come from? It comes from that master. Oh, you got to do it this way. You got to do it this way. That structure, that drill sergeant kind of thing. Where sometimes the divine, my personal divine feminine is like, well, we just not in the mood. We don't feel like that right now. We want to do this. And just working with my person from this context, seeing the spirit in this way allows it to be more gentle with itself, allow that expression, says, okay, you don't feel like doing it now? That's okay. We're just going to relax. And then through experiences in that relaxed state, there's actually even like more creativity. There's more uploads. There's more insight that comes because there's no pressure on you got to do this, you got to do that. And so this is the closeness that my person is intimately working with his own spirit, to have them to work together as one unit, to check in with themselves, to communicate, to have this internal dialogue. So this is, the nursery of my person's relationship with his spirit.
Right. So when you were talking about your relationship with spirit and being able to address the feminine energy,
Right.
I don't feel like doing this. And it's so important when you have a real relationship with spirit to really be able to check in with self and be like, this is a good thing to do. And I would like to show up and do this wonderful thing, but is this the right thing for me at this time? And sometimes we might be more tendency to people please, oh, I'm going to do this, oh, I'm going to do this, and you run yourself raggedy, and so you're not honoring your physical self, and you're not honoring your spiritual self, because sometimes we become a bit cantankerous in what we're doing because we're not honoring that spiritual self that says, step back, enough, relate, relax, release. I relate to the situation. I've given what I can to the situation, but I'm gonna be okay being able to say no. That is an effective, powerful, loving tool. No, not right now, not this time, not at this occasion. You know, um, is there any particular situation where you found it more challenging to say no, even though you felt like, no, I don't want to do this?
I think it's just so I'm 25. Like
Okay.
for added context, I think it just comes down to like I said, mostly just like job situation and deciding what to do next.
Mhm.
Um, I'm sure my family would prefer if I just got a good government job with some benefits and just stayed there for years and years and years. Got retirement and kept it pushing. And I sometimes do consider just doing that, but my spirit um, wants me to do other things. And there's support there, but it's scary because I don't know how the world will receive it. And so, and then I also don't know exactly what that looks like for myself. But yeah, I think it's mostly just like job situations. I think when it comes to like peer pressure and stuff like that, I'm pretty good about like honoring my spirit. Because one thing about me, if I feel like leaving a situation, I will leave. If I feel like something is not for me, I will turn around and make my exit as graciously as I know how to.
Yes.
But I think there's something about like practical demands of life, like still needing money and still needing to figure out things that can make it a little bit difficult. But sometimes when we feel our spirit, it isn't, I guess, in line with what logic wants to tell us. But sometimes our logic is based on other people's lines of thinking
Right.
and the rest of the world. And so that's when you have to get to know yourself and then kind of like reconstruct your own way of navigating your own mindset and logical tools as well. So I hope that answers the question.
It does. It does. Coming from the work base, you may tend to want to do more things in line with the work base, but you're still going to be true to yourself. And I understand that. I know I went to theater. I was in a pre-med program prior to going into theater. And so this pre-med program is paying for me to be in Howard and medical school, the whole ride. And when I entered the program, I was attending a special program they were doing, and I was one of 12 students in DC, Maryland, and Virginia that was in this program. So I went to Eastern half a day and Howard University half a day to take these pre-med programs, and they were going to pay for my full ride through college. I decided to leave that program and attend Duke Ellington School of the Arts.
What was that decision-making process for you?
And I was acing in the program. I was doing very well. I like medicine. I always wanted to be a brain surgeon, but I also liked the arts. I liked acting. I liked theater. It gave me an expression and a way to utilize my overactive imagination where you can escape, any type of situation in life. I could go and be these other characters. And if it was something challenging going on, growing up in DC, there are a lot of challenges that one could walk in, especially in the inner cities of DC, a lot of challenges. Ellington just allowed me that freedom to go and be. And so I could be as smart as I wanted to be. And I could also perform and have people like me. And it's like, okay, I like to read. So now I'm not the nerd because everybody's a nerd. You know what I'm saying? I got these talents, but everybody's got the talents. So we can all just exchange and be in that space. Learning to accept, okay, this is a choice I made, because I remember my mom and everybody's like, when I started in theater initially, when are you going to get a real job? When are you going to get a real job? I mean, that's cute right now while you're young, but what happens when you get older, Well, at 18 years old, back in 1987, I'm making $42 an hour. An average theater day is 19 hours a day. That's $42 an hour. After 8 hours, that's time and a half on that $42 an hour. I was doing quite well, quite well. And then one day I just, rode up in this nice, expensive car to the church where my dad's a preacher, pulled into the parking space with this wonderful car because I wanted then to outwardly show. No, I didn't stay in that pre-med program. Precious did all right. Precious did all right. That need, even though I did what was right for me, there was still that need to people please. There was still that need to be accepted. So it wasn't even so much in my spirit that I was showing up as much as it was in that ego that now shows up. Because now I got to show all of y'all what. You see this car? And I'm going to park in the parking spaces so that all the preachers can't get in. Everybody is going to have to notice that my car is right here so that when I go to move the car, she's driving that car. Which kind of slides into that next question. What has to die in you in order for your spirit to live? For me, it was recognizing ego. Yes, I'm successful. Yes, spirit is guiding me. Yes, I'm making choices and coming up with ideas that's like out of the pocket because I'm able to sit and be creative and listen and look at things and think about things. But that ego was still showing up. So where being successful and doing what I was doing could have been a testament to somebody else. Yeah, I trusted God and I believed that I could be able to do this. And this is how I manifest, on a quiet situation. It gets overshadowed, the work, the accomplishment gets overshadowed with the ego and the arrogance of how dare you just come and park in all the preacher spaces and park in a way where 3 cars in front of you can't get to where they need to be, and cars behind you can't really do what they need to do because they're being forced into a position that they can't be. So it's like it's about me when it should have been about grace. It should have been about humbleness. I could have still driven my car, but to have that testimony be given from an humble place, ego needed to die for me to do that.
Chef, you said it was the ego for her person as well. It is ego.
Thank you, Chef Sue. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Anything you want to chime in on with that, Master Chef?
Yeah. You know, even at one point, spirit and my my person put the song in rotation. Uh, Ludicrous, move, get out the way, get out the way, get out the way, move, yeah, get out the way. Right. Because my person was in his own way, you know. It felt good about opening up to, hearing more, being a tool, checking in, but yet it's still doubted. We're still like, oh no, maybe we'll get around to it, push it to the side a little bit, because my person's getting in the way of his own self. I got the orders, go forth and do. We're gonna do this. We're gonna do that right now. So just observing that flow or lack of flow. It is a flow, but it's not flowing in the direction my person wanted. So it's a divergent flow. It's a more of a stutter step, sluggish flow. So just observe that flow. And listen to that song. It was like, okay, it was like little child, the child says, let's play this song and tell ourselves to move out the way. And it's been happening slowly but surely. It's not like a light switch per se where, oh, we out the way now, everything is going. But just having to keep playing that song. Don't play it as much now because, just because it's working, just slowly getting out the way. So that's the whole piece. Slowly getting out my person's own way.
Right.
I like the time.
Okay.
So the question was like, what needs to die? Shine.
Yes.
I don't know if you'll be able to like offer any insider advice. But I think for me, ego is part of it, but I think for me it's really just like probably more on like fear and outside, and I guess attachment to comfort. And I've been playing around with whether or not, because it's like people work hard to move towards comfort in a way, but I don't know if we should be moving towards discomfort and growth. I don't know really where the balance is. But I think for me, I'm like scared of leadership. I'm scared of stepping into roles where I might be more visible, and I'm scared to being greater than myself at my current level. And I know that I need to have a breakthrough. It's like the more I push it off, the more I don't answer. It's like the spirit keeps getting louder and louder, putting me into situations where the old is just dying is no longer an option. But then I'm like, okay, now I'm just vulnerable to hit. What do I do next? And I think that like I don't know how to, I guess maybe let go of fear. And for me, sometimes it's like social anxiety or fear of like people, or just like I don't know, just having responsibility or people counting on me or people looking towards me to have some sort of like I don't want to be the person in charge. I don't want to be, and I have great things to offer, and I prefer the supporting role 100 million, 2,000%, but to be in the shadows. If Spirit is asking me to take on grander things, I know that I need to answer the call, but I almost don't know that I can, or I doubt that I can handle it. So I don't know how to let fear go when even though my logical mind understands that it's not a real thing. My logical mind understands that fear is in the way, but I still can't like integrate that in my body and my soul and move past it and do things anyway. So, know if you have anything to offer.
I would say small steps. You know what I'm saying? Do a small task, and then celebrate when you complete that small task, and then do a greater task. In alignment to that small task, and celebrate. And after a while, you move from all of these small tasks and all of these things have built that you put yourself in the right position to go further. I think a lot of times when spirit is pushing us forward, we think we got to jump out and be on top instantly. We got to do this grand thing instantly. But the moment you do something that you haven't normally done, like maybe you would show up at a meeting, but you wouldn't speak. The small task, right? The small task would be show up at the meeting and then talk. Because already now you've gone to a different level of that, And then when you leave and you're gone, oh, I spoke up today. Great job. Then you celebrate that small thing. Then the next time you come to the meeting, maybe I'll put up a chairs and stuff, set the chairs out for the meeting, and then I'll speak when I'm in the meeting. Now that's two things that you have completed in that meeting. Oh man, I showed up. I put out the chairs. I spoke up. Great job. Then you celebrate yourself for having had that win. Then your next win is, okay, I showed up. I put out the chairs and I did the sign-in sheet. I made sure everybody feels. So it's like each time you're going up a whole nother level in leadership, because all of these things add to those celebrations. And before you know it, you're the person running the meeting. You show up, you put everything in place, you make sure the sign-in sheets are set out there, and you're speaking up and you're encouraging other people to speak. You've taken a whole leadership role. And it doesn't feel like, I can't do this. It's not so scary anymore, because you've taken practical small steps and build upon those steps. And that's pretty much how you move through life. If you look at the whole big picture, sometimes it may become or feel overwhelming. But when you make it smaller and do the intervals of what it is that you know you can accomplish, then you do that. If you set a goal that you just don't feel like you could do it all, then you set yourself up for failure, because you're so filled with anxiety and so, it doesn't happen because you get stuck. Anybody speaking to anything online in offerings with that message?
Not that part, but Chef Suit did chime in and say one of the songs that her person uses to get that ego out the way, which she shared before, was "Don't You Worry About a Thing."
Like the song, don't you worry about a thing.
She says, "I meant out of the way."
Okay.
Yeah. And just to add something else, your person I want to consider, Sister Jordan, is uh, being intentional with movement. You just think about the song "Move That Way." While playing that song, my person would actually dance and move. You know, because a lot of times when we have these ways of being, these thought patterns, that we're looking to move away from, a lot of times it's challenging because it's stored in our physical body. They say the programming and conditioning, the neurons power a certain way, muscle memory, emotional memory, so these types of things. And so what the intention of moving does is that it's just going to move to break up the stagnant energy along with the breath, release that stagnant energy, those things, the program and condition that causes, us to think a certain way. And while we're moving and breathing, we're just imagining, visualizing the way that we wish to be. Since even talking to ourselves. It's also a form of meditation, active meditation. We just zone everything now, let's get rid of this stuff that we should be. That's how we want to show up. It's beneficial. Whatever that self-talk looks like to your person, between us to encourage you, in a nice, gentle way, while moving to release those things that still want to keep it doing the same.
Well, I think I'm still always like in my mind, where the mind is always trying to like go through the process of inquiry and asking questions like, why did I say? Okay, I understand. I should change. I have the awareness, but awareness could go on forever without any change being made. So I think getting out of the mind sometimes. Thank you.
I think a good rule of thumb, just in dealing with yourself and your spirit self, is what you feed your spirit. Just like when you feed your body. If you don't feed your body nutritious food, you won't have a healthy body. If you don't feed your thoughts, if you don't feed your spirit nutritious things, you don't feed your mind things that take you to higher levels, things of higher understandings, if you don't put yourself in position to grow, you become ill, you become weak, you become immobile, because you haven't done the necessary things. And so we got to be mindful of, what are we looking at? What are we listening to? What conversations are we having? What environments are we being drawn to? And what are we engaging in? Because all of those things have an effect on your spirit. You could go into spaces and you not be there where some atrocities take place, but your spirit could feel the spirit of those who suffered those atrocities. Ever been, like I just recently went to New Orleans and went on the slave plantation, one of the slave plantations. And while I'm down by the swamp, I could feel sadness. I could feel heaviness. And then at the same time, there were times where I felt childlike play and fun. And it's funny because at the moment that I felt that childlike play, there was this place on the plantation that was dedicated to the children that used to be on the plantation. And the children gave testimonies about how masters used to allow us to play, and have fun. And mothers were allowed certain spaces to be able to relax to produce children. Now, for the children, it just felt like fun. But for the slave master, that was smart, advanced thinking. If my slaves are happy and feel like they can have fun, this feels like home to them, even though it's an atrocity. But at the same time, for the kids, this is the only way of life that they know. So this is their fun. This is what they're experiencing. So to be mindful enough of the conditioning to know that what environment you put a person in brings out a certain type of productivity for him. So to make these children want to stay, they're not likely to run away off of the plantation because we do have fun. It's hard work. That was a sugar cane plantation. We gotta cut the sugar and mold the sugar and do all of this stuff with the sugar. But we get to have fun when we get to doing this work. So they're there. And on that plantation in particular, I think it was 1970, they were still slaves on that plantation up to 1970 because they were so used to their life there. They didn't even realize we're free. Slavery isn't even happening anymore. It took some slaves that escaped to come back to let the slaves know, guess what? Y'all don't even have to be slaves. It stopped being slaves years ago. And it's interesting because there was a movie I saw on cable not too long ago where this lady came from a plantation, and it was in the 1970s. And she ran away and ran out to the road and ran into a truck driver that was a black guy on a truck. And he began to work with her. She's, dressed like a slave, still got that slave mentality, but did not have a clue that they were free. And then she ended up going back, once she got an understanding of who she was and what was going on, she went back to free all of the slaves that was left on the plantation within the movie. So I say all of that to say it's so easy to be conditioned by ill things in society, if that's what we attend to, if that's what we put our focus on, if that's what we put our energies on. But if we set our mindsets and our energies to a higher level of understanding, overstanding, and connecting to our spiritual self, we rise up to that. And the benefit of that becomes a greater peace. It becomes a space of, I am not so stuck and worried because I know spirit will work it out. It's like I'm going through some challenges in life right now, and I'm really having to understand spirit and what it is the spirit wants to teach me in this season. And as I am embracing what spirit has given me, it's like it's home. It's like this is really a challenge. And then what spirit has done is just allow me to see glimpse of this is the benefit. This is what comes after you do this devotion. This is what comes after you complete this series of really fully trusting in spirit. It's like I know spirit, I've witnessed spirit do wonderful things. I believe and know about great healings and a whole bunch of things that can happen and manifest in real time. I've had money fall out the sky, large sums of money fall out the sky to take care of things for me. And spirit is like, look at all of the experiences. Look at what you know. Don't be so connected to, you were speaking before about letting stuff go. Don't be so connected to things that you can't move forward because you're trying to drag things along. Don't be so connected to people that you're trying to drag these people along because some people are very seasonal. Things are very seasonal. Things pass away. Spirit is like, if you lost everything that you have today, I am able to give you that and greater tomorrow. And so it's for me that space of, okay, I gotta let go. Okay, I gotta let go. I could do this. I can do this. I could do this. But I like this. But what happens if I let this go? What happens to these memories? And the spirit is like, but everything is a creation right now. Whatever I have already created, I could create anew. And it's not even like recreate, because spirit is like to me, create a new space, create a new understanding, create a new idea, create a new. Stop worrying about what was and focus on what is and will be. So if I'm in the present, this is happening right now. This is opening up to me right now. This is my opportunity to unload all of the stuff that I have carried with me season after season after season, and then wondering why I keep falling into certain traps over and over again because I wouldn't let go. And so right now it's like very clear, let go, be free, you know. And as I begin to embrace the idea of freedom, it's like, man, if I do this, then I ain't gotta worry about this. I ain't gotta maintain this. I don't have to do that. Oh wow. So it's starting to take root. But this is 2, 3 weeks of crying
Yeah.
before I'm even at this place of it's starting to take root because I'm starting to understand the benefits of being just connected with spirit and not overwhelmed and bogged down by what's happening naturally. Because the natural is a manifestation of what I thought first in spirit anyway. So if your thoughts lead you to dark, dreary, I can't make it, it's hard spaces, that's what you want to produce. Dark, dreary, I can't make it, it's hard spaces. If the thoughts shift to, I've already gone through this, so I can make it through this, and I'm gonna get to the next level. And and when I get this together, when I move into this space, and when I'm operating this way, it's gonna be. And when I start thinking about what will be, what's happening now isn't as significant where it holds me back. You know. Any thoughts? Any ideas?
Well, Chef Suit made a comment says, when we know we are light workers, we have to mentally and physically, we have to be mentally and physically light to do what we are called.
Mm. I like that.
My person also mentioned that the movie is Janelle Monáe.
Okay.
So I admittedly like kind of sort of have an understanding of what Easter is about.
Mm-hmm.
So I also want to put that out there. But is it I guess about like death and rebirth and like can you provide more context to? I'm sorry for like coming in like
It's okay.
Child,
It's
is a
okay.
Soulful Sunday discussion. Let's get it
I have
in.
a story to share, but I want to make sure it's relevant first before I just start
Right.
blasting.
Right. So, putting on that Kojic hat, the story of Jesus being crucified, being laid to rest in the tomb, and then 3 days rising from the tomb, and then going to the disciples to say, I have risen, let everybody know that the spirit is here, and before he presented himself to everyone, he went to hell, got the keys of hell, so everybody that was in hell prior to his coming now gets free from hell, and they're able to go to a higher space because they didn't have that sacrifice. So if we take that into today, you know being burdened down, having our minds so heavily laden with whatever that keeps us from being able to ascend to our higher self, that keeps us from being able to move to what we need to do. Like what I shared before, my crying is like I got all of these very expensive things that I got to let go of, and I'm going from a big house to a smaller space, and not being so attached to those things, but looking at the memories, looking at the work that I did to accumulate some things, being so focused on how outwardly It may seem like, oh, you're being stripped, you're being punished, you're being cast down, you did something wrong. Here's your punishment. Opposed to spirit saying, now it's time for you to go to another level. And that level takes you away from the material so much and puts you more in tune with your spiritual self. And with your spiritual self, you are now going to be required to go from city to city, from state to state, from country to country, and show up as this healer, raising a vibration around the world. That means you don't have time to be tending to all of these material things in one place because you have to be free to get up and move and go whenever spirit says, hey, we need you in Peru today. Right, because if I'm attached, if you got to pay car notes, you got to pay house notes, you know you got to pay these bills, you got to make sure these plants are watered, you got to make sure that these furnitures are done this way, you got to make sure that this is moved when the sun is in this position and everything has to shift. It's like if I got to focus on all of this material stuff, I don't have the space and time to be in Peru one week, be in Alaska another week, be in Haiti another time. It's like I can't be in these places because I got all of these things going on in this material realm where my spiritual self is being required to show up.
I feel like that's bringing everything together for me in so many ways. So thank you for sharing like that specific piece too about being like having less things, but it's actually freeing you up and more liberating because I am coming back from some recent travels myself. I was in Mexico and I had done some plant medicine. I had a toad ceremony. I don't know if you know about but I'm still integrating that experience. Okay. And there was a portion in that experience which I guess I would process maybe as a ego death, but I said aloud I was ready to die. But it was at that point in acknowledging that and admitting that I felt liberated and free. And so just like understanding at that point of surrender and letting go is what opens you up to like everything else. And it was such a weight lifted off my shoulders, and I felt like I was processing that for like myself and the world. And going back to like more 3D things in my storyline, the first thing like I feel some things that I have to like let die still is my attachments of what I feel like milestones that I need to achieve as a young person. And I think I've been so attached to this idea of like, you know, you need to keep up with your friends and get a tech job and make 6 figures and live in your own apartment, where the goal should be to move out on your own, maintain that and do well and like have belonging to pets and things. But my life has actually looked like scaling down and bringing myself up. And I live at home, but I think I felt guilt about still living at home. That it's like if I shift my perspective, that's the reason why I'm able to travel. That's the reason why I'm able to do things. I used to have a dog, but then at one point I was like, my mental health was kind of like going through some changes. I finally told her that just like it freed me up of the responsibility of like, okay, now I have to make arrangements, find a pet sitter, find and do all these things. And so it's like I could have perceived all these things as loss and unnaturally love. But I think if I tap more into my spirit to bring that part back in, it'll help me see how I'm being opened up for other things. And I think I love what you said about like anything material, like all that stuff can be replaced. I think I get so fixated on like I don't always see the bigger picture. I'm like things are too close to situations. So just being able to get into the space where I'm like, I'm okay. But it's like the faith part and the trust. Like trust is so it's interesting trusting something that's invisible. So programmed to rely on the feedback of the world. And the trust has to come first, not like after. So, you know, that's where I'm at. It's just working with that and not understanding that as like a thought process, but like living it. So thank you again for being a reflection and for being a reminder. Because I need those reminders.
Right.
We all do.
Right. It's like there is never a time, and this is what I love about spirit. When you are truly seeking those things, spirit will show you some reflection. Spirit will give you some reminders. You got to be open to it. It was like I was welling like last week. Spirit, you're forgetting me. You're not seeing me. You're not understanding what I'm going through. And the spirit is like, did you go through this? Didn't you have this situation? What happened when you went through that situation? How did you make it through this situation? How did you, on your own, at a young age, survive and take care of yourself? And how did you live on a young age? I started looking at, oh yeah, I was young. I had my own apartment. I was taking care of myself. I'm working at the Kennedy Center and I'm making $42 an hour. I'm showing up in places where these old white Jewish men, you know, don't know who's coming in to be their boss. And sometimes I would send in, I wouldn't say my name, I would just say Porter, on whenever they ask for the name, it'd be Porter. So they're trying to figure out who Porter is. I show up and pretend to be somebody's assistant. And then when the main person show up, well, we're looking for Porter. Oh, I'm Precious Porter. You know, now all of these people that I've heard all of their complaints and all of their grumbles and all of their stuff about this person that's coming in, and I knew who my teammates who was in support because I didn't show up as the boss. I let them believe I was somebody's assistant. Well, can we just get this done? Well, I need to make sure this happens. Just make this out. Now, I'm playing because I'm a young, at the time, 19s, 20s, young black woman showing up in a position that's usually a 30, 40-year-old white Jewish man. You know, how to get now this crew of people to get this major job done. I was like, the biggest event I had was something for Hewitt Packard. And it was the things I was doing wasn't the way people normally did stuff. I was the queen of I messed something up and discovered a new way to use something to do something. And so I'm instructing people to do it, which is wrong. Well, whoever this is, don't know what they're doing anyway. And then when it comes together at the end and the person comes and it's like, oh, that was fabulous. I would have never thought to use this instrument this way. I would have never done it that way. Mistakes that I was able to build upon and create a whole little niche for myself of doing these things unexpected. But that trust and being in that space of, all right, this ain't what everyone else is doing. This looks different, but that kept me fed. And so just like in those spaces that I was able to create and flourish in environments that didn't expect to be able to flourish in, Spirit is like reminding me now, okay, so now you got to create those niches. What looks different? You see how people are showing up spiritually. You see what you like, you see what you don't like. Spirit is giving it to me as each religion is a language. How do you learn those languages so that you can speak to those people in their languages and still be able to free them from what is binding them and holding them and making them feel condemned in some way within that aspect of religion, where religion is supposed to be about connecting to God. But more often than not, it's becoming more about rituals. It's becoming about people getting paid off of you on your journey to try to connect to God. It's becoming more about ego. It's becoming about battles of I'm stronger, I'm greater, I'm more anointed, I'm more endowed with God, opposed to just saying to people, there's a connection that you can have with God. There's a connection you can have with your higher self. There's a connection that you can have with spirit, which if I'm showing up with this message, might not work for the high priestess over here, might not work for the good reverend over here, might not work for the medical physical person over here, because I'm taking away their control and introducing people to their own spirit and connection to God. And that for me is a space of looking at how do I do this and recreate anew a space for man to be connected to their higher selves and spirit and not be condemned by all of these other rituals and stuff that man has created to know God, but not come in and offend and look down on someone either, but allow me to speak in their language in a way to say there's even a higher place that you can go beyond these traditions and formats.
Couple comments
Okay.
online. Chef Suit gave clarity that it was the name of the movie is actually Antebellum, and Janelle Monáe was in the movie. So just a little clarity on that. But also, a person mentioned that earlier that you are shedding the cocoon to blossom like a butterfly.
Mm.
And she also wrote our ancestors guides us on our journey. And Precious Mother Love chimed in with, I feel my renewed and resurrected self dying to the old ways and beings of the past daily. I dreamt last night that Orishyan leaders came and, as promised in dreams previously, killed my old nature and renewed my spirit. To present the new me in the spirit as a renewed spirit, as a new being, test after test with renewed energy. She says, speak up. Maybe we'll read this one more time. Speaking up, hold this device a little closer, we can see it and be a little more audible. Okay, gotcha. Speak up. This is from Precious Mother Love. I feel my renewed and resurrected self dying to the old ways and beings of the past daily. I dreamt last night that Orishan leaders came and, as promised, in dreams previously killed my old nature and renewed my spirit. To present the new me in the spirit as a renewed spirit, as a new being, test after test with renewed energy.
All right.
Did we all have a crazy dream last night? Because I also had a dream where it was intense. I don't know what was going on, but I was like having a nosebleed, and then I was like choking up blood, and it was like coming out of my ears, and I was covered in blood. And I went downstairs to tell my mom that, telling her I felt myself fainting and like basically passing on. And the last things that I heard her say to me, you have to open your heart. And then I woke up, and then that was it. But I'm like, did y'all have any crazy dreams? Because I'm like, this is the thing to share. Sometimes this is how spirit works. It's like,
Right.
we're gonna get comfortable, and we're gonna go with the plan, and we're gonna start opening up and sharing our personal stories.
Right. So you're purging in your dream. And with the blood and everything coming out, it's like all of that's in your head. You're purging the thoughts in your head, you know. And so what your mom told you was get out of your head and open your heart, you know, so that you could move and flow from the trust and love within, you know, instead of, you must always analyze a lot. Yeah, you're analyzing.
Overthinker.
Yeah, you're analyzing a lot, and so that's that head. That's that stuff that's blocking you, and you know, and what's happening is that pressure of that just released, came out the nose, coming out the ears, it's coming out, and that opening heart is just, you know, what's right, what feels right, you know, because sometimes it might not make sense, sometimes it might not be logical. Sometimes it might not line up to whatever.
What feels right in my heart right now is, I don't want to say insane, but it would be big mistake, and I don't know how I will be, how supportive, or how I can make that happen. But
so, as we spoke earlier, start looking at how do you partialize. How do you put it to move in increments to get to the bigger space? You know what I'm saying? So that's what you got to do now, is just figure out a way to move it into increments. And so when it all comes together, it'll be that big thing. And if you're not focused on the big thing of, oh, I got all of this to do, let me do this right now. Let me do this right now. It becomes like breathing. It becomes like walking. It becomes like everything you had to learn in life to be who you are today. Those increments get you.
Queen Mother Macbee Mbaki, Queen Mother Mbaki asks, could you get some information about how important it is to get out of your head? All right, Chef, you got to run. We'll check in later. Chef, you got to run.
Right,
That's Queen
right,
Mother.
right. Right. So our thoughts are where everything gets formed. If you think it, that's what you're going to produce. And so if your mind is always in a pessimistic place, you're going to always have type of pessimistic results. If your mind is always in that space of woe is me, you're going to present more woe is me. If all you could talk about is I need, opposed to I'm acquiring, I'm getting, I'm bringing to me. Answers the same thing. There's something that you need brought to you. But is it a focus on I need this, I need this, I need this, or I'm acquiring this, I'm bringing to me, I'm waiting for a certain thing to arrive. That's a momentum of moving forward. That's a momentum of achieving what it is that you're looking to achieve. Anything to the contrary of the momentum in which you want to go, it's equally that strong. I can't never do anything right. So everything you try isn't going to be done right because that's what you spoke. You think it, you say it, you do it. All of those energies work together. So it really starts with changing your thoughts. And if you find that your thoughts are always low vibration, then you got to start focusing on things that will raise your vibration. What was enjoyable? What did you like? What do you know? Oh, if I do this, I got this. So do that part. I did this. I believe I could do this too. And then do that part. Oh, watch me do this. Then you think about it. Then see it as the end result of what you're looking for. One of the things that we were in one of my psychology classes, we had these test studies where there's a basketball team. One team is told to go and practice shooting your 3-pointers, and they spent all of these hours shooting their 3-pointers. Got some good results because they spent all of these hours shooting these 3-pointers. Another team was told to go and visualize dropping the ball into that hoop for these 3-pointers. They didn't go out on the court. They didn't practice. They didn't dribble. They didn't do any of that. They just visualized the ball going through the hoop. Got some really great results because they visualized. Then it was another team that was told to visualize it and shoot through the hoops. That team excelled. It did better than all the teams because they got the thought pattern and they got the practice pattern. There was another team that didn't think about it, didn't practice, and of course they didn't do well because their minds wasn't put there, their practice time wasn't put in, so the physical body wasn't doing it so that muscle memory kicked in. The mental body didn't do it so that they can visualize it and make it happen. They were left to their own regard. And so they are probably partying, they're probably hanging out, they're probably doing whatever they feel like doing, and then they show up at the game. And you think, oh, I got talents, oh, I got skills, but you haven't done anything to develop those talents. You haven't done anything to develop those skills. And even if you are talented and skilled within yourself, you are not a team. So what has the team done together? How have you worked together with your community? How have you worked together with your spirit guides? We have teams to work with us on this spirit journey. Are we out here rogue? We out here, oh, I got this. I was able to do this. Watch me show up. Watch me do this. Are we in tandem with our spirit? Are we connected? Hey, where's my teacher guide? Where's my love guide? Where is my creative guide? Where is my physical guide? Where are these people on my team to help me achieve where I need to be spiritually? All of that plays into what our thoughts are, because our thoughts become a creation of our experiences. But if our thoughts remain in a low vibrating place, all of our experiences are going to be in a low vibrating place. And so sometimes you got to move and see yourself outside of self and see an example of what it is that you want to achieve and see an example of somebody doing what it is you want to do. That is a successful, become successful in doing what you want to do. Hey, what was your process like? I don't ever aspire to be like somebody else. But there are a version of things that people have done that I'm like, oh, I would like to have my version of achieving that. You know, those things help to elevate you and move you into a higher realm of understanding. Once you're practicing a higher realm of understanding, they become a permanent fixture. It's hard to go from having a mindset of greatness, having a mindset of being in line, having a mindset of being in tune, and then reverting back to some gutter stuff. What even happens is you develop a low tolerance for the gutter stuff. You have some friends or people that you ever associated with, and they were doing a bunch of stuff. And when you were young, you were like, oh, that's like. And then as you get older, you be like, y'all still doing that? That's so high school. That's so junior high. That's so middle school. That's so freshman college. It's like after a while you get to a place where that doesn't serve you. But you don't look down on those people. You understand that's where they are. You love them. That's when you got to put some distance. Hey, how y'all doing? I'm here. All right, great. All right, have an awesome day. You're gone. You allow them to be who they are on their journey. But by you still showing them love, even if you move yourself to a distance, it gives them a chance to feel the elevation within you, and then you have them elevate. And after a while, they might start to see, hey, there is another way. Especially if you was right there with them and you were raising up. Well, she did it. I could raise up too. And then you become that person. Hey, what did you do to help you get it? You then become that example, working and moving within that space. Anything else on the board?
Yeah. So, uh, Queen Mother and Becky says, peace and love. I love how she's doing with it, Sister Precious. My thought is, as we are coming back to our highest self, we have to let go of so many of the illusional things
Mm-hmm.
that have kept us bound. The illusion's definition for my frame of reference is the lies, and they're in our minds. So our minds need to be cleansed so that we can reach our higher ground. Thank you so much for acknowledging my question, Sister Precious. Did an excellent job. That's where it is. Sorry, I meant Mother Precious. I want to get her title correct. Well, okay. So there's before us on the screen is Precious from Naya, Mother Precious, Queen Mother. Even last night she was called Queen Mother, and also on the viewing is Precious Mother Love. So we are honored to have Precious, two Preciouses, Precious. One is participating on the discussion part, and the other is participating in the viewing part. So that's that clarity. Hope that answered that. And there was a question earlier, Queen Mother, not sure um, of what is implied by this. Um, Watching, very good. He said, could you get some information about how a relationship with you later always in your mind? So just not sure of what that question refers to. So maybe I can retype it still if it hadn't got answered in the last discussion. We can give clarity on that. We'll wait and see if there's any clarity. Mm-hmm. And that's that. Join any other comments or practice Easter question.
I'm just present and just soaking in everything. Um, yeah, I think that's just where I'm at in my peace of mind. Again, just thank you for your presence and
Thank you. Thank you.
I think everything is very timely. I am refining my yoga journey the first time around. So I went to India in November to Rishikesh for yoga teacher training. I did not know what I was getting myself into, but I was just like, hey, I'm gonna do this thing, and it was very like movement focused and on and the exercise of it. It included the other components like meditation, philosophy, things of that nature as well, like anatomy, alignment, the whole 9 yards. But when I came back home, I think because it was so intense, I fell off again. I was reaching this lofty goal instead of doing like
Increments.
and so then I fell off. But in circling back around to it, I am very interested, yes, still in movement because I'm realizing that that's helpful to like tie everything together and that the body has to be incorporated. But I'm really interested more so in a mantra-based practice and meditation. And it's interesting because even just repeating the mantra, allowing that vibration and sound to like carry me or like get me out of my mind. I was reading a book and they were like, the mantra is less about, people always want to know like what does this mantra mean? And it's not about the meaning of the word, it's about the tone and the sound and the vibration. And they're like, a lot of these mantras don't mean anything. It's about just saying it and getting past the point of wanting to give up, getting past all of those things and the devotion. I think the devotion is a big part of like remaining strong with your spirit. And so I feel like even just, chanting Om has been unlocking things. And I think that's where a lot of these dreams are stirring up now. A lot of these experiences are happening and like things are falling away, things are falling into place. But yeah, so like the big leap that I'm feeling called to like start scaling down on my belongings and possessions as well. Like I want to donate things if I can, sell some things. And ideally at some point I'd like to go back to India, but that feels like such a huge lofty goal because I think it's important to find a guru or a teacher like at some point. You can only get so far on your own or you only know what you know. So I'm just seeing what that does and doesn't look like. I'm very supportive of manga. I've mentioned my family concept. They were like, you already went once, like let's go back again and like with what money and what's your plan, how long and all of these things. And so I think I'm getting swept up into now the mechanics of like how is this gonna work? How am I realistically going to do those things? So there's gonna definitely be aspects of trust and faith. But I think it's like finding balance because you don't just abandon logic. I think that's where I'm also coming to terms with things is that the ego still serves us in a way and protects us. Logic is still helpful, but it's just more of a balance.
So something you said earlier about you know what you know, and you can only go so far within self. And um, I would say, coming outside of my Christian rearing, it's been 3 years, and it's only been maybe in the last 10 months that I've actually really gone into where I'm moving spiritually. And I was looking, and I would go to this person, and I would go to this person, and I'm like, teach me how to be spiritual. And everybody would look at me and be like, can't nobody teach you. You're gonna teach yourself. In fact, you're gonna be teaching us. And I'm looking at these people like, I know Christian, I know the Bible, I know God does this, I know this can manifest, I know this can happen. And I kept looking for all of these teachers out. And I think about 4 months ago, I'm sitting in my room. I'm a crier, clearly. I'm sitting in my room and I'm bawling because I'm going, I know that things can manifest instantly. I know that I've seen people raised from the dead. I've seen people grow limbs that didn't have limbs. I have had money literally fall out the sky for me. I've had come from cancer, stage 4 cancer, 3 different occasions, and I'm here today, cancer free, not all chemoed out. And it's like, so I have a daughter that I gave birth to at 16 weeks gestation, and she's 30 years old today. And it's like, I've seen and know the miracles of God, but why can't somebody teach me? Why can't somebody teach me? And so spirit is like, certain things you need to understand. will come. It's like I've gotten things in dreams. You talking about those dreams? It's like when you open up, those dreams come with lessons, and from those lessons, then I've gone and looked up something from that dream, which has given me a wealth of information. It's part of how Master now Shep and I started having the comedic metaphysical conversations because everything that he went and studied came to me in a dream, and so he was able to help me connect the dots. So it's not so much as Spirit is teaching me now, it's not so much about necessarily sitting in front of teaching as it is being able to connect to a person that may have an answer to something or more information about something that Spirit reveals to you. But then again, it's got to lead into that trust of Spirit revealing to you how to do and move and be, and then being open, to that heart and not so all right, well, does this make sense? Well, doesn't this make sense? Because I am becoming more and more a believer that that first thing that comes to heart is that thing. And what we do is more often than not talk ourselves out of that first thing because this is what society says. This is what people expect. This is what I've normally done. This is all that I can see and understand to be. But if I open up to that, okay, this thing that seems really far fetched, what does that look like? How does this come to play? You know, oh, okay, if I am lessening myself and I am selling off these things, what do I earn from those things? And if it is requiring me to get rid of these things, I also believe that since I was required to get rid of these things, that means Spirit is going to make sure I have all of those things that I need, you know. And so you don't know who will hear or see in a conversation because you're being obedient to Spirit. Oh, well, let me write you a check so that you can go over here and have this experience. I literally, at one point in my life, was crying about rent some time ago. And this is before I'm really engrossed in this thing. And somebody knocked on my door, and an envelope was slid under my door. I think at that time I needed like $2,700 to keep from being evicted. And because I had gotten sick, because I work in theater, and theater ain't one of those places where you call out and you still get your check. Right, you didn't show up, you ain't get that money. And then some years later, I was in a church working on a production, and one of the members talked about she could remember the address that she had just gotten this bonus on her job, and God told her to go slide this bonus money underneath the door at this particular address. And she gave the address, and it was my address from some years ago. Right. And so I said, when you got there, was it a blue door? And did it have these designs on it? She was like, yeah. I was like, that was me. Somebody knocked on my door, and I went and found the envelope slid under the door. And it said, God bless you. And it was her. And so this is like 10 years later that I meet her. But that experience came in that, which let me know where I was at the time is where I first started doing my domestic violence work. I moved into the place because I was moving out of a bad situation myself. And when I was there, I was helping women that was in abusive relationships. And I was taking care of these women and I was helping them get restraining orders. And I was doing a bunch with them. I was doing so much with them, my body just got fatigued. And in that fatigue, I wasn't able to get up and go to work. And but I was still trying to show up for these women. And what happened was the whole story I just shared. In that fatigue, I get knocked on the door. Here's the money. I'm able to go pay my rent. Fast forward from that to 3 years ago, I'm in a position where COVID has kicked in. Theater jobs have stopped. I'm not making the money. I need $3,000 a month for my rent. I can't pay my rent. I'm about to be evicted. I'm calling the chef. I need you to show up. Help me get this done right now. And the chef goes, oh, I did an oracle reading. You're going to be okay. My person is not going to come and show up and help you do what I was asking him to come and show up and do that day. I'm livid because I know the sheriff is coming. And all I needed you to do was help me get some stuff out of here before the sheriff comes. Let me grab my valuables that I want to grab. He ain't come. Sheriff shows up. I hear him going from door to door. Manager, she's trying to make sure he gets to me. Make sure he gets to me. And I open the door, and the sheriff sees my face, and he says, "We're not doing any more evictions today." Manager, well, let's do this one more. He's like, "We're not doing any more evictions." He goes on his radio. He calls everyone and let them know we're not doing any more evictions today. 2 hours later, the sheriff is knocking at my door. I go to the door, and he says, "You don't know me, but some years ago, you helped my daughter when she was in domestic violence. And when I saw your face, I knew it was you." He said, "When I saw the name on this paper, I wondered if it was you, because I always knew, I never forgot your name of the woman that really helped my daughter." He said, "As a result of that, I could not evict you. We won't be doing any evictions this month." He says, "And we're about to move into something," because COVID was just, they were starting to stop a lot of stuff because of COVID. And he was like, "And you're going to have some time to get yourself together because COVID is coming. And I'm going to be sure that no evictions happen in this building, in this neighborhood, until your situation is straight." And so just being present to do what we need to do in answer to spirit, we don't even know when that comes back and what that looks like. But it's about really operating from the heart and doing what you need to do. I could have been a victim. I could have taken the money and the programs and just gone and hid or whatever. But even while I was going through, I was helping other people that had the same type of situation going on get through. And that created favor. And I am a strong believer is favor is more important than money. Because like a favor would be the sheriff showing up. And now God has given me favor with this person and I don't get evicted. Where it would have required more money than I had to pay and stay where I was, opposed to facing that eviction. And so seems to me eviction is one of those things that motivates spirit. Sometimes spirit got to give you the same lesson over. It's just another thought running in my head. Just to always be in attention to and listen to and trust. Like that first thing that comes, that's usually the spirit speaking when we talk ourselves out. Any thoughts, anything you want to say?
Very
Yeah, I agree.
Anything happening online?
No, earlier Christmas type in the chat. One love and wellness, one love and wholeness to all, one love and wholeness to you all in the renewing of your mind and spirit as we each elevate to our God is-ness. Ashe, happy East Star rising.
All right. Well, we move it to the part where we will do announcements. Any announcements you want to share?
Before the announcement, just want to be sure that Sister Jordan is complete as far as the Easter piece. That was brought up as far as a question, and then your person has his own thoughts. So
Yes, I'm complete. Thank you.
okay.
Thank you for checking that space.
All right, that's what we do. Hold space. Now is time for any announcements that anyone may have about anything coming up, events, community, anything happening. Yeah, nothing that's coming up anytime soon. So we like to share more when it's upon us, maybe have information and other stuff. Oh, there's an announcement. We will be here again next Sunday.
I was getting ready to go ahead. Give them the address.
Oh.
I'm gonna need us both to know the address. What's the address here?
2415 32nd Street is what comes to mind. 2415
Yes.
32nd Street.
That's correct.
2415 32nd Street, Southeast DC.
DC.
Yes.
Alabama.
One of those wonderful little, forgotten about good spaces in DC. It's like when you hear Southeast, so many people, Southeast, but this is nice. This is a nice space to be in.
Yeah, Precious Mother Love just typed in the chat. 420 is another gateway. Um, and speak upon gateway because you will be hearing more about that. Precious Mother Love and my person, we have uh, been holding space starting in December at the winter solstice. We began at that point gateway meditation piece. It was a one-time event. However, we decided, you know, it's such a powerful thing that we should incorporate it at the full moon. So every full moon, we have what's called a gateway meditation. And every new moon, there's the integration of the gateway meditation. And what the gateway meditation is tips to a protocol, if you will, a series of uh, modalities and activities that are put together in a sequence such a way that allows one to be in a most relaxed state of being, open up, fully open up, relax, and then using the breath, um, using the breath throughout, and then to be able to take our consciousness to what we call the gateway to source energy. And a little insight behind that, growing up, we used to do, we were like 9 years apart, grew up in separate areas. My person in the DC area, my person in Alabama. But yet in the sixth grade, respectively, there was this thing we did. We bent down and breathe real fast, hold the breath and stood up. Someone, you know, put their hand on that chest and press in. And we become very bored. Most of us, my person, pretty much every time would pass out. But before passing out, it was just such a highness. It was just such a, whoa, this is wow, that psychedelic in a sense, And so years later, we say, well, what we are aware of now through our understanding is that we went into source energy. And so how to get to that place where we have these, we're light, we're vibrant, we're aware, but we don't pass out. We just come right to that space. So we cultivated a meditation that allows us to go to that place before entering into source, which is the same space that we go into when we go beyond the rim or it's resting that night. So how to, cultivate ourselves to go to that place. And from this place, we send forth our intention. And we send it forth into the source energy, into the mother, father, source, all in that womb to allow it to give birth, source, into manifestation, creation. So that's what the gateway meditation is all about. Again, every full moon we have the meditation, and that the new moon is the integration. And it is on Zoom. And 420 is coming up. So 420 would be, we just had the meditation. Integration. Okay. Yeah. Wait a minute. So we just had the.
You just had the meditation.
Meditation.
Gateway meditation, right.
Right. So the next would be the integration, right, which will be next strong. What's strong after next? And then in two strong will be the full.
Let's start this meditation.
Okay, well, just stay tuned. We have that information. This is an FYI. Our person used the word strong as opposed to weak. It's a subtle way of, changing the vibration, have the language be more empowered. Even though some may say it's a bastard language, there's no rhythm, it's dead, no vibration. My person's given charge if we use these words, just rearrange these words in the context of them so that you shift the vibration. So that's what we do a lot of times. So rather than celebration, those types of things. So
my person.
Sometimes. I mean, peace is
right.
Child, that's been my person's thing.
I'm getting what
Yeah, but no, just saying peace and wholeness
right.
together.
Right.
Has been a thing for like
right.
3 years now.
Right.
Peace and wholeness,
right.
peace and wholeness. So, that just feels good.
It's like an echo. If I say peace, you'll go in wholeness. So it's almost like an echo now.
Yeah. So that's that. Unless there's any other announcements, Let's see anything coming from Precious Mother Love. And so before we close out with the drum circle, we have integration. And integration may be looked at as a form of communion for those of us who are familiar with the Christian church. And of course, it is optional, yet we call it integration, communion, because we are already communing
She was okay.
with each other. We commune with each other, with Source, all of our spirit guides, ancestors, benevolent beings, all of those who are assisting and helping us on this journey of remembering. We are always communing with them. So at this point, we suggest that we're integrating the community so that we're always, so that it's embedded in part of our soul and our being. So, with that, okay.
Let me just get you some on camera and just wave at the people real quick. Just say hey.
Okay.
In the house with us today, Sister
Hey,
George, everybody.
How's it going?
That's the wonderful voice you all have been hearing, sharing with us.
Mm-hmm. And just a quick comment, Precious Mother Love says, thank you, Mother Precious, for your participating in Gateway events and for this providing even deeper integration of the spirit and soul on these Sundays. Oh, we integrate that as well. Integration. Say right on, amen, ache.
Acheo.
All right, there you have it. Once again, another Soulful Sunday discussion. As we close, as we open with our drum call and an official closing call, giving thanks for all those assisting us in the journey, the unseen. Giving thanks for coming to this portal, enlightening us, sharing with us, until we call upon you again. So we said right on, All right. There you have it.
Thank you. We'll see you next strong. Happy Resurrection Day. And remember to resurrect the God within.
Ache, Nacho. Okay.
Do you all have